Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into an album that promises to take you somewhere pretty whimsical, but also surprisingly heavy. We are unpacking Skovens Rige. That's by the Danish folk metal band Trold. So get ready to step into the forest's realm because this is where it gets really interesting. All right, so let's unpack the band itself first. Trold, founded back in 2020, guitarist Jesper Myrup started it. And they seem to have made a name for themselves pretty quickly there in the Danish metal scene, didn't they? Especially with that first album, Der Varangang, and their live shows.
Yeah, they definitely did. And what's particularly striking, I think, when you look at it, is how quickly they followed up that debut. I mean, releasing Skovens Rige less than 2 years later, that's fast.
That really is.
The original lineup had Alan Vangsgaard Madsen on vocals, Christensen on rhythm guitar, and then later Fredrik Weil came in on drums, Matthias Bo Lindgren on bass. That completed the current lineup. And they brought this really strong rhythm section that reviewers keep pointing out. Makes their sound, denser, more powerful maybe than quite a few other folk metal bands out there.
Okay, a dense rhythm section.
Yeah.
So what does that actually mean for their sound overall? What makes them stand out in, let's face it, a pretty crowded folk metal scene?
Well, that's the key question, isn't it? What's the foundation?
Right.
Because while, yeah, it's folk metal, the real differentiator, according to these reviews, is that the foundation is actually melodic death metal.
Ah, okay.
So for anyone maybe not super familiar, think intense, riff-heavy guitars, often harsh vocals, but always with a strong sense of like catchy melody running through it. And the folk elements, they aren't just, sprinkled on top. They actually build off that heavy bass.
Right.
They blend in, strengthen the death metal parts. It's more organic. The reviews mention how the folk instruments seem to just melt into the guitars, becoming like one single instrument. And that kind of integration, you don't always get that in the genre. It makes it sound much more cohesive.
That distinction you made building off the melodic death metal foundation, not just adding stuff on, that feels like a really key point.
Yeah.
Does that make the music feel more, I don't know, substantial? Less like a novelty, maybe?
Absolutely, yeah. It avoids that whole metal band with a flute sort of stereotype you sometimes hear.
Okay.
Because the folk parts are woven so tightly into that melodeath core, the whole sound just feels richer, deeper, integrated. It gives them a kind of power and depth that, some folk metal bands that lean maybe more heavily on the folk side don't quite achieve. You get the full metal force, but it's amplified by those folk textures.
Okay, interesting. So beyond this unique sound blend, the album title, Skovens Rige, In the Realm of the Forest, that pretty strongly suggests the vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How consistently does that theme run through the whole album?
Oh, it's incredibly consistent. If you look at the big picture, the album just constantly generates this really magical, almost fairy tale kind of atmosphere. It pulls you into this world, full of dwarves, forest creatures, old legends. Thematically, yeah, every song is about the forest, adventures in the forest. It weaves in Nordic mythology, hunts, big feasts, even goodbyes. It's very immersive.
You mentioned the mythology, the lore, but one review pointed out a cheerful, even whimsical quality. How do they manage that, balancing serious Nordic themes with playfulness?
That's actually one of the coolest things about Trold, I think. They have this, well, one source called it an allergy to taking themselves seriously, which I love. Yeah, everything, the lyrics, the music, it's all got this tongue-in-cheek feel. They definitely play with the genre tropes, maybe push them into slightly sillier territory sometimes. But the result, as one review puts it, is just pure fun. It's like they deliberately inject that lightness, so the mood shifts around a lot. You get these wild chases, big party songs, but then also some more, thoughtful, reflective bits, but always with that fun energy underneath.
A party in the woods with depth. Sounds like a tricky balance, though. How do they manage those shifts between the drinking song vibe and the more reflective moments without it feeling jarring?
I think it really comes down to their skill with dynamics and how they arrange the songs. They can go from a really high-energy driving part and then smoothly shift into, say, a more melancholic acoustic section, or maybe slow the tempo down but keep that core rhythm going. The transitions feel surprisingly natural, actually, not like sudden mood swings. It feels more like different scenes within the same big forest story.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked about the melodeath core, the whimsy, the mythology. How does this all actually sound in the music?
Yeah.
Let's maybe dive into some specific tracks, starting with the opener.
Yeah, the album kicks off with the title track, I Skovens Rige. It's like a narrative introduction. Uses those classic folk metal instruments, bagpipes, flutes, violins, and the hurdy-gurdy, that unique hand-cranked string thing.
Mm-hmm. With the drone.
Exactly. And what really jumped out at me from the reviews was the narrator, Lars Theisgaard. Apparently, he's like Denmark's most iconic voice actor. How big a deal is that for setting the tone?
Oh, that's a fantastic catch, and it's hugely significant. Getting a voice actor like Theisgaard on board just instantly adds this layer of, well, professionalism and real narrative weight.
Right. His voice being so recognizable there, it brings this storytelling quality right from the start. Really enhances that fairy tale atmosphere before the band even properly kicks in, draws you right into the forest realms. A very smart move. And that intro flows straight into Medhintiv og Fukkel, that's with pitchfork and torch. And that's where the album really explodes. It's just pure, high-tempo, folk-infused, melodic death metal, super fast guitar riffs. It shows right away how they can be incredibly catchy, fun, but still seriously crushingly heavy. That organic fusion we talked about, it's right there.
Okay, pitchforks and torches. So
Yeah.
It's energetic. Then you get tracks like Kilgilledy under Bogan to the Feast under the Beach, right?
Yeah.
Scoffesten, the Forest Party. Sounds like they keep that party vibe going. What makes these ones stand out?
They're perfect examples of just how catchy the album is. And yeah, that drinking song, Quality Reviewers mentioned, Scoffesten especially, just grabs you with these really danceable rhythms right away.
Uh-huh.
But then they contrast that with these like deep, rough growls, those guttural vocals you get in heavier metal. It works so well. They really nail that sort of wild, celebratory feeling. You feel like you're right there at the feast.
But it's not all just partying, is it? What about tracks that go somewhere else emotionally?
No, definitely not. You've got tracks like Tusindar I Devale, which is 1,000 Years in Slumber. That one's got these driving drums, high tempo, really convincing vocals. There's a cool keyboard part and this really inspired guitar solo that gives you a bit of a breather mid-song before it slows down a bit but keeps that strong rhythm. And then there's Vor, which means spring. That starts out acoustic, quite gentle.
Right.
But then it shifts into this galloping rhythm, that driving beat. With folk riffing, it almost turns into like a classic heavy metal anthem. And it has this really complex, genuinely inspiring guitar solo. Leaves you feeling pretty positive, uplifted, actually.
And what about Mod den Endelus Skav towards the Endless Forest? That one sounds like it might be a bit different again.
Yeah, that one definitely shows they're willing to experiment a bit, push things. It kicks off with these very medieval-sounding kind of pagan-style orchestrations. The tempo is more moderate, but it's got this powerful, almost wistful melody, solid riffs, and this recurring acoustic guitar theme.
Mm-hmm.
The drumming is relentless, really drives it. And the guitar runs are super clear, very melodic. It ends with this almost melancholic acoustic feel. One review did note it feels a bit slower, maybe more serious, especially coming after Udaskin, which they call the record's best track, and right before the most lighthearted one, Skoffesten.
Ah, interesting placement.
Yeah, maybe a bit of an odd spot, but it's still a really strong track. Shows their range,
It really sounds like the musicianship across the whole album is consistently strong.
Oh, absolutely. The production gets a lot of praise, too. Really well balanced, so you can actually hear everything clearly. Every instrument shines. And the guitar work, yeah, both rhythm and lead reviewers call it consistently impressive, very professionally done. And even though it's clearly folk metal, the album manages to pack in a surprising amount of variety. You get the growls, sure, but also power ballad moments, those galloping riffs we mentioned, super fast blast beats.
Blast beats, too.
Yeah, those really intense fast drum patterns, and even epic choirs show up. But the key thing is, despite all that variety, it still sounds totally cohesive, like one unified album.
So putting it all together then, what's the takeaway for you, the listener, thinking about stepping into I Skovens Rige?
Well, this deep dive really shows that Trold have managed to craft something pretty special here. It's energetic, it's captivating, and it's just incredibly versatile for a folk metal album. It pulls off that tricky balance, being full of whimsy, really fun, but at the same time, genuinely overwhelmingly heavy. One reviewer, they went so far as to call it maybe the best folk metal album of all time, even better than Trolldy's own debut, which was already seen as spectacular.
High praise indeed.
Very high praise. It's just an amazing record, honestly. Packed with stuff you'll keep discovering, tons of replayability, a journey you'll definitely want to take more than once.
So, yeah, if you're looking for something that's epic, maybe a little bit silly, but also just a damn good time, this album really sounds like it delivers. And maybe something to leave you thinking about. Trold does such a good job blending humor and different emotional shades into a genre that can often take itself very, very seriously. What other musical genres, ones known for being quite strict or serious, could maybe benefit from a similar touch? A bit of that whimsical, tongue-in-cheek humor, and just being willing to explore different feelings, something to maybe ponder on your next trip into the forest.